You're back with us this morning on WTRE. We want to thank everybody for joining us. And it's a Wednesday morning, still a little bit of sunshine out there. Sabrina's joining me from the Extension office.
Yep.
And I know we've got some springy things we're going to talk about, but I do want to talk a little bit about this past week with this wicked weather and all of this flooding and stuff. I know you were showing me some pictures. But that's hard on everything. And I know at our house we figured right around 6.5 inches of rain came in. So, and it's just yucky. Let's just be honest with you.
Yes, it is yucky, and it's cold too. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think you're right about getting around 6.5 inches of rain. And yeah, we had a lot of it. I know I drove around Saturday just to look at all the flooding, and I was mostly on the west side of the county, but it was crazy to see all of the crops and things that were flooded and the water over the roads, and even actually seeing the residue from the corn and soybean fields that was washed into people's front lawns where there was no longer water. It just was really intense.
It seemed like talking about like the corn stalks and all in the roads.
Yeah.
And I guess you think back, I mean, since harvest, we've had snow and we've had frozen ground, but we've had winds that came like from Dorothy in Kansas, but it still had not really, I guess, cleaned up the field. Cindy's loving on Sabrina today. So, I guess that was the opportunity to kind of flush things out, but it made for a really dangerous situation in places too.
Absolutely, it did. I know, so I live over in Hope, and we get notifications for Columbus and all the flooding there as well. Mm-hmm. And driving around, we went up to Greenwood on Sunday, and we would actually see cars that had floated off the road. And they put flags on them to mark them just in case the water got higher if they floated further down to somewhere deeper. But we saw 2 or 3 cars that had gone off the road and were abandoned. So I think, especially during those high water events, and luckily that's draining away now, but you always hear turn around, don't drown, especially if you have smaller vehicles or trucks that are not weighted down in the back. That back end can come up off the ground, and now suddenly you're out of control. And water can have a strong current, even if it's only a few inches, and you never know what the roads are like underneath that water. Things get washed away, absolutely. So it's best to not risk your life to get from one side of the creek or fake creek, I don't know, impromptu creek. Turn around, find another path, and if you can't, it's not worth your life.
Yeah. It came up so fast, and so much of the rain accumulated in the dark.
Yes.
And, and when you think about it and you're out driving, the water across the road, you probably are not going to see it till you're there.
No,
And so, it just
to slow down and watch out for those things.
And the silt from the fields, that's a slick.
Makes it slippery.
It's just gross stuff when it gets wet like that.
And the residue's really piled up. That can make it slick as well. I believe it was maybe Jackson County. I had seen from their highway department, they had the plow trucks out, and they were plowing water off the road, but they were also using it to move that corn stubble and residue off the road as well.
That's kind of a cool idea. And that's
really neat.
Because I see a lot of it between here and home, and it just really. So when we have those like that massive flooding and all, how does that affect our actual farm fields?
Absolutely, yeah. It causes quite a bit of flooding damage. Farmers, especially if they have gotten planting in before that, they might have to do a replant. Now, I don't think we've had any farmers in our county plant yet, but I do know somebody further south in Indiana, their educator was talking that they had planted their soybeans in mid-February.
Seriously.
Which was crazy. We were all like, I wonder how that's working out.
Probably not so great right now.
No, maybe there's some regret there. But yeah, so if you did have planting in, that can flood those seeds and prevent them from germinating, so you might have to do a replant. Also, we have winter wheat and some other winter crops. I think there's triticale that's planted in the county, and some rye, and some other cold season crops like that. And I I would probably worry to see how that's going to be stunted, being flooded for so long and then having those really cool temperatures come in on Monday, I think is going to do some damage to those crops.
Where we've had, 20s for the last couple of nights.
Yeah.
And so tell me this, does the standing water, where are we going to get more damage? With the water still standing on a wheat crop, or it being wet and then getting frozen?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think they're both just going to do severe damage. I don't know which one's going to be worse than the other. Soil, it has air pockets in it. So those roots, if they are completely wet and if we have standing water, that means that soil is out of air pockets. It's all completely full of water, and it's just holding there, and that's suffocating those roots. They do need air to touch them. That way they can, incorporate nutrients and do all of their processes the correct way. So yeah, that's going to cause damage. And then the chill and things causes tissue damage to what's above the ground, or even below the ground, considering the water and the shallow root system. So I'm not sure what's worse. I gotta say, it's not good all around.
No, it's not. It's kind of like we're seeing what years ago was the traditional spring in Indiana.
Yes.
As opposed to what we've encountered the last few years, because it's been either mild or it's been dry. A lot of different, and it seems like we just got kind of hammered with everything this year. But to me, winter was a lot more of a traditional winter than it's been for a long time.
Yes, I would agree with that, absolutely. Started out a little bit warm. I still feel like I remember December's maybe being a little bit snowier or cooler when I was younger. Sorry, I keep messing with this microphone.
I know, it's kind of doing that something.
It's floating away. I'll just lean closer to it. But yeah, so we had that nice traditional winter. I think we had a nice hard freeze. Things were pretty normal there. So yeah.
Which we need every so often to, like, bugs and germs and...
Yes, absolutely. It helps kill off bugs. Now I have pulled ticks off my dogs already. My dog and my cat. But yeah, so we have started seeing some ticks and things, but hopefully they're not going to be as bad as they were last year. I know last year I pulled several ticks off of my cat in February. So thankfully it was late March when we found that tick on our dog. Yeah. So maybe, fingers crossed, that's a good sign that...
Probably a good sign that if you need to treat your pets, you need to probably get started early.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead and start getting on those preventative medications, heartworm, flea, tick, all that stuff. You don't want fleas and ticks in your house, absolutely, and you definitely don't want your pet to get heartworm.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, Sabrina, I know... one more on the freezing thing. Like yesterday I was a little more optimistic on my tulips and daffodils.
Yeah.
This morning they were like kind of sad sack droopy. So, if they froze, they froze, right?
Right.
We're just...
Yeah, and I don't know too much about tulips. I will admit, I am not the flower expert that I would like to be. Maybe in a couple years I'll be like, oh yeah, actually you can do this. But yeah, unfortunately, it seems like this water and this cooling off has kind of done some damage to some plants.
Will it damage the trees, you think, that are beginning to try to...
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if we had a long enough of a freeze to do damage to the buds on the trees. I feel like our trees are going to be all right. Maybe be thinking about, and think about this too for your winter crops, is getting fungicides on. When things are wet, fungus really thrives.
Wet, doesn't it?
Yeah, so maybe be thinking about that, but I think our trees will be all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will let you go forward then. I know we've got some topics you're going to talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I feel like in spring, there is just so much going on. We're thawing out, and there's just everything from all different directions. So I'm hoping I can remember everything. I tried to write everything down that I wanted to talk about. But so, yeah, we talked about the flooding. One other thing is if you are somebody that has pasture or farmland and you did have damage, contact your FSA office. There is a FSA office in Greensburg. They may be able to help provide some resources there.
Oh, okay.
And help out with damage there. So before you start cleaning anything, make sure that you're documenting, taking photos of what has been damaged, and then contact them and see what your next steps are.
Okay.
Yep.
Good advice. Yeah.
Yes.
It floodwaters. I know we took a hit, of course, in the fences.
Yeah.
Anybody that had high water, it really,
Exactly.
yeah. And then the other thing, and I saw a piece this morning too, where the ground is so saturated and so soft and wet. The big trees, we get any wind or anything. I mean, that's something people need to be aware of because, I mean, they don't have the support in the ground that they need to.
Right. Absolutely.
To
Yeah,
keep
I've
them
seen
sturdy. So
especially out where the winds were really bad. Yeah, I've seen quite a few big trees get uprooted, or even trees that maybe had rot inside of them that goes unnoticed.
Sure.
They end up splitting down the middle. So
Yeah.
be mindful of your trees, and don't cut trees down by yourself. Absolutely, always
No.
have a team of people if you choose to do that yourself, or hire a professional. But yeah.
I think that's the best way to go with that.
Yeah, I don't want to be cutting down
They're
any
so
trees.
unpredictable.
They are, absolutely. Then people, it does kill people.
Yeah.
So yeah, better safe than sorry.
Okay. All right. Very good advice. Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess the next thing that I want to talk about is, so we are getting closer to planting season, and we're going to start seeing farm equipment getting out, forking nitrogen into the ground, and making those fungicide applications, and eventually planting our corn and soybean crops. So it's probably still a little bit wet before we see them out in the fields, but we are going to start see them moving around and getting stationed. So I did want to put the word out there to be mindful, take your time this time of year, especially on those county 1.5 lane roads. That big farm equipment takes up the entirety of that, and farmers are really good about being mindful of the road and moving over. But I know if I can see them coming from a while away, I usually hit my hazards at around 300 foot, and then I pull over by 200 foot. That way they can just move past me, because how many times on their drive do they have to pull over, and that just slows them down and makes the line behind them longer.
Sure.
So yeah, just being mindful of that. Be mindful of the speed limits this time of year, and just be a good neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that one was that. Now, the other kind of spring thing is wildlife. I feel like I get so many calls about bees and baby animals. So I guess let's start with bees.
Okay.
So we are getting closer to swarm season. We'll probably see that more in May.
And bees are good.
Bees are great.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely wonderful pollinators. But sometimes what happens in the winter is they make an overproduction of food. And so then that causes them to leave their hive and kind of split in half, and half the hive will go out and try and find a new place to live. So you might see swarms stop on fence posts or sides of buildings to take a quick rest. And then people get really concerned and they want somebody to come collect their bees. So there is a list of beekeepers that you can contact to help remove swarms. That is managed by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. So if you just Google Indiana Department of Natural Resources beekeepers, that first link should take you to that list of beekeepers that you can contact.
So let's talk a little bit about the bees. We had this incident at one of the farms we lived at. And of course, I wasn't sure what it was, and when that was years ago, and they actually had a nest and this was a very, very old big brick house, but they had a nest in a chimney.
Yeah.
And the honey actually did run down, like on the,
gosh.
yeah. But in the spring, they would leave the house, but it was kind of like they had a route that they followed, but they would go to, there was one particular tree in a pasture, and that was the first time, honestly, I'd ever seen them in that, and it's huge.
Oh my gosh.
And and of course the horses, they kind of did the freak out thing and took off. But how safe or dangerous is it? If you're not a bee person, do you leave them alone, or what's the best thing to do?
Absolutely, leave them alone. So bees have different personalities. And that's actually based off the personality of their queen. So a more aggressive queen will cause the hive to be more aggressive. So that's something that beekeepers actually manage. If they have a hive that starts to act more aggressive, they'll actually switch out their queens for someone more docile. But yeah, so you don't know, especially with those wild hives or a hive that you aren't managing, what that personality is. So it is best to just give them their space, hire a professional to come in. And most of those beekeepers, especially if it's just scooping bees off a fence post, will do that for free. So yeah, leave that business to them. They've got the gear to do all of that stuff safely. But also it's not something to be scared of either. They're part of nature, and for the most part they want to do their own thing, so it's not the end of the world if they're on a fence post or somewhere either. Just leave them be. And
how long will they generally, like when they're moving their group, how long will they kind of land and stay in a spot?
So they won't stay there very long, especially if there's not a good place for them to build shelter. So maybe if they find a building, they might decide that that's a good home, or a hollow tree, then yeah, they might start moving in there. But if there's something on something like a fence post or something, they're probably not going to stay there more than a day. So what happens before bees go on a big flight like that is they actually engorge themselves with honey, because they don't know the next time that they'll get to start making their hive and, you know, have that production and process again. So, but by engorging themselves in honey, it makes them really sleepy.
So that's kind of like a layover. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep,
they're taking a rest before the next leg of their flight. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So just the safest thing is to get the Department of Natural Resources and have them handle them like that.
Yep, or look at their beekeeper list and contact those beekeepers, which we are lucky. There are a lot of people in our area that are really interested in bees. So we have a wide variety of people to contact. I think there's about 10 beekeepers between here and the surrounding counties. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, just be safe with them, but be kind to them.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't spray them.
Yeah, please don't.
Yes.
We need the bees for
need the bees.
The pollen, the honey, and the flowers.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Good stuff.
And then the next thing is wildlife. So that's the other call I get a lot is, there's a baby bird and it's struggling to fly, or it looks injured. You're definitely, especially right around now, we're going to maybe start seeing robins and those fledglings. And oh my goodness, they are ugly. They have a nice mix of their baby feathers and their adult feathers, and they are not very good flyers. So a lot of people will call and say, well, I can see their mom around, but the baby's on the ground. It's okay. That's part of how they learn to fly. If you have pets, maybe keep them inside to keep that animal safe, but don't go out and try and handle them or anything like that. Just let nature be nature, and they should be all right. Okay. Same thing with baby animals. I know we have some foxes in town, so you might find some fox kits behind a shed and think that they're abandoned. Fox moms are moving their kits around right now. So don't worry if you see a baby animal or a fawn or something by itself. Mom usually isn't very far away. She's coming back for it. It's not very common that moms abandon their babies.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've seen and where we live, of course, with the woods and all, so many deer this winter. Many. And just last week, coming home in the middle of the day out in the cornfield down the road, there was 8.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I stop and because I have my little camera and I'm thinking, and I got some awesome pictures of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
They were but it just seems like the squirrels are everywhere.
Yes.
And we went through skunk season there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Yes.
So, but there is a lot of wildlife right now.
There is a lot of wildlife, and babies have been born and they're going to start coming out. So we'll start seeing them more. Just be mindful of them. Yeah. Gosh, I had something else I wanted to say on that, and I cannot remember for the life of me. I think it was maybe there's been a lot of deer, but we haven't found any sheds. We do try and walk around and look for antler sheds, and I feel like I just have not found any.
Found any?
Yeah. Which I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm just bad at looking for them.
I haven't been we have a pasture down behind us that butts up against the stone quarry, and so it's quiet, other
Yeah.
than the cattle do their thing and make their rounds. But I see so many deer down there. I do see coyote down there too.
Yeah.
But I haven't really been down, and I'll have to look when I go. We had some flood water in it, so it's time to go, check on everything anyway. But I'll watch for you and see if
All
I
right,
find
if you
one.
if you find one, bring it in. I have a
Will
little
do.
shelf in my office.
Cool.
So I like to display that kind of stuff.
Okay, very cool.
Yep. So I guess one more thing, and then I've got some programs that I want to share. Our community garden. So I don't know if we've talked about the community garden very much on the radio yet.
Not enough.
Yeah, so we should definitely talk about that today. So for anybody listening that doesn't know, we are in the process of putting in a community garden at the health department. I can't remember the name of that park that's next to the health department.
Emily, the little park there to the north side of it, right?
That's North, that's Rebecca.
It'll come to me. But so at the health department, right next to the park that's next door to the health department, we are putting in a 100 foot by 50 foot community garden. So if you've been there playing at the park, you'll probably see 12 black tarps down on the ground.
Okay.
We are using that to actually kill off the grass and any weed seeds. So that's a process called solarization. So they're heavy duty tarps that are dark black. So they draw in solar light and heat. So it'll heat up the ground underneath it and give us a nice space to plant without having to till up that dirt.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So we're going to try a
cool.
no-till method.
Uh-huh.
Some crops do a little bit better in no-till than others, especially things like tubers, things that grow in the ground, carrots, turnips. They do like a looser soil. So maybe for those beds, maybe we break that up just a little bit to make the ground nice and loose
Because you kind
for
of need
them.
that for expansion purposes,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, you'll get some kind of wonky shaped produce.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll have 12 in-ground beds. We're planning on having 4 raised beds that are about, I want to say like 10 inches off the ground, but the bases still touch the ground. And then we are going to have 4 or 5 handicap accessible raised beds that are 32 inches off the ground. They'll have drainage holes drilled in the bottom. But yeah, so we're going to try and make it as accessible as possible.
Now, who will build the beds for you?
So great question. There is a local group, I believe it's at Greensburg High School, that actually is taking that on in their construction class.
I love that.
So you might have seen them put their post out on the 812 a few weeks ago saying they were looking for a community project to help with, and they have been absolutely wonderful to work with. But yeah, they're going to put the beds together, and we're really excited to have some youth in the community involved on that.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's very nice.
Yes. And I think they'll do a great job. Kids are so talented. Like every year at the 4-H fair, I'm just blown away at the talent in this community. So I'm excited to see what they put together.
Well, to bring them into such a community-wide project and give them that opportunity to be a part of that is big for them too.
Absolutely.
Going forward in their life, that's
Yes.
a great piece. So the kids will do that now, like the seed and plants, things like that. Are those donated items or?
Yeah, so we are working on getting some donations. At the name of the nursery is Expressions, right next to the
Crossroad.
YMCA. Yes. So we talked with Chris at Expressions. We actually took a tour of her nursery a couple weeks ago as an office, and I had so much fun. I love
absolutely.
greenhouses, and
Yes.
she is so knowledgeable. But we talked, I think we went an hour over what we had planned to be there for. But yeah, so knowledgeable and has a lot of great products and stuff. But yeah, so she is going to donate some of the starts to go into the garden. And then I believe we're going to reach out to some other community partners for some of the things that might do better with seed. And I know that Esther with the health department is kind of organizing all of that. So she might know a little bit more about me on where some of that stuff is getting donated from.
I say the greenhouses are like therapy.
Yes.
You
Oh my
know,
goodness.
because they're warm and you go in there and you're just surrounded by all this wonderful green and plant and
Yes.
flowers and it just makes life better.
Yes. When
Yes.
I was in high school, our FFA program had a greenhouse donated to us. And so I took horticulture my junior year of high school, and it was my first class of the day. And we would start out in the greenhouse, and, we started in January. And it just was so nice to be in a place where it was warm and you get to see green a little bit earlier in the year. My only complaint is that they had me managing the dill herb.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And fun fact about me, I cannot stand the smell of dill. So that was a little bit rough for about a month. And I complained about it enough that another girl in my class, she hated the smell of lavender, and she was in charge of the lavender plants. So we switched.
Seriously?
Yes. And
my gosh.
It definitely, the experience got much better. But I'm not a gardener. Especially when I was younger. I'm definitely learning more, and I have plans to try and do some container gardening this year at my house. But that was a really great experience to have in high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What
And
a
I
great
know-
way to start your day.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
I'm just excited. My little tomatoes are this tall. I
my
started
gosh.
my seeds, and so that's the first round. So I've got the second ones planted.
So when do
and
you plant them in the ground outside?
Chris always says we're just safest after Mother's Day.
That's what I hear. Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of the rule we follow.
Yeah.
Now they always say to plant your potatoes on Good Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, and my dad did that for forever. He was always gardening, but that's the hard one because of the weather always.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes you can, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, those cool season crops
Yeah.
get a little tricky.
And we had a friend that we had met years and years ago down in Kentucky that taught me the salad bowl method.
What's the salad bowl
And
method?
he actually had the raised bed, but they would take like all of their lettuces, greens, radishes, just a huge mixture of all of the seeds.
Yeah.
And they covered in the bed, and then they did it very early. I think and they're a little bit farther ahead in Kentucky, but in March, but they put the cloth over it so that it stayed warm and got it going. But once you peeled that off, and it really, you have your entire, I think they even had some green onion in that. You have
my gosh.
everything there.
That's awesome.
So you're picking your whole mix and creating your salad bowl. So
Oh, that's
it was
so
a really
neat.
cool thing. Yeah.
That's a really neat way to do that. And man, gardening is so fun because there are so many different ways to do it, and there's a little bit of trial and error. You know, some things you'll try one year and they work out great, the next year maybe not so much, and it's really fun. It's a great way to learn.
It is.
So
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a peaceful therapy.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, and yeah, I loved being in Chris's greenhouses. I gotta say, it's a very wonderful place to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the community garden then will be open to
Everybody.
everybody?
Yep. So one thing we are looking for is people that are interested in volunteering time. Obviously, you don't have to say, I want to be a volunteer, and then, we email you a work schedule. I think it'll be more like, hey, I'm interested in doing some work on this day. What do you have going on? And we can, work something out. So it's kind of volunteer as you can. And then whatever produce we have, we are going to donate the majority of it to the Greensburg Bread of Life. However, this is a community garden, and we do want it to be accessible to everybody. So if the community needs produce, that is a place where you can stop and get those things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'm really excited for it. There's a lot of community partners that are working on it. So the health department is really spearheading it. And has done a lot of work to get that off the ground. I'm helping out, as well as Catherine, our CWC with Purdue Extension. Our soil and water is helping. The library is helping. Solid waste and recycling is helping out. And I believe even the Arts Council of Greensburg is helping as well, thinking of some ideas on how to make it look really nice.
Very cool. I love that.
Yes, so
You need a few flowers,
we do need some flowers. Marigolds and things are good at
Yeah.
keeping those insects away.
Yeah, and the rabbits and
Yep.
things like that. So,
Yeah, so that's another thing we need to think
Yeah.
about.
I love the heirloom stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's just a whole other thing, but it's so fun to see some of that grow. So
Yes, yeah, and that might even lead to a really good program on how we can like preserve our heirloom seeds and get them ready for the next year.
I like it.
Yeah.
So they could contact you or the health department, anybody that might want to be a volunteer or
Yeah, absolutely.
find out more about the
So
program.
contact the health department, but for whatever reason, if you'd like to contact us as well, you absolutely can. We can get you on the right path.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Very good.
And then going off that, just one more thing. So I do want to try and get Master Gardeners started. I really would like to have a basic training again. We used to have an active Master Gardeners group in the county, and we don't currently. So I am looking to try and get at least 10 people so we can host the basic training, which is about a 13-week program. So it happens once a week for 13 weeks straight. It's a 3-hour class in the evenings to get your training. And then you would be a Master Gardener intern. And then you
is it in person or an online?
It would be in person. There could be the potential to do it online if that's what's needed. So we can be flexible with that. But right now, I am just trying to get a list together of people that are in the county and that are interested, that want to do this. Mm-hmm. So after you go through that basic training, you would be a Master Gardener intern. So you wouldn't be an official Master Gardener yet. You would have to then accumulate 40 hours of volunteer training, or not volunteer training, of volunteer hours, just out in the community, educational volunteer hours. And then after that, you would become an official Master Gardener. And Master Gardeners, we in Extension really lean on them. They tend to have a lot more experience than we do. Because they're gardening every day and they do all these educational opportunities. So sometimes it's not uncommon for Extension educators to call up their Master Gardeners and ask them questions and refer to them or refer clients to them as well. They're a great resource for the community. And I have a couple people signed up, so there is an interest. So if you're listening and you're interested, absolutely contact us.
Now, what kind of cost is associated with that program?
Oh, goodness. I don't remember that off the top of my head.
There is a fee with it.
There is a fee to go through the basic training, but you get a lot of materials and resources that are yours after you go through that. So I wish I knew the fee off the top of my head. I used to.
Well, it's kind of nice to know that there is a fee, so you kind of expect that, when you sign up. But
yeah,
it's a neat thing. I'm always in awe. Sarah Namias comes in once a month and does that, and just the amount.
She knows so much.
Yes.
I could sit and listen to her talk for hours. Yeah. When she is helping us with the garden as well. So she is a great resource to have. And the Give and Take Garden Club, we do some programs with them, and all of those club members are just so knowledgeable.
They are.
Yeah they're great.
A joy when you're kind of around them and see all the things that go on. I know they used to have a plant sale. I don't know if they...
I think so.
Still, I
so
think at Farmers Market at one time they even did it there. So.
Okay. I don't know about that club, but I do know that's a great transition to some community programs that are going on. So one thing that is currently going on is the native plant sale at the Soil and Water Office. So I don't know what the cost of their plants are currently, but you have until April 24th to contact them and get your order together.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And then it should be for a very reasonable cost to get those native plants in, because I know they've got they're having the effort to put native plants out to help the pollinators and things like that. So April 24th is the last day to order. Call them over at the Soil and Water Office or stop in there. They'll get you taken care of.
That's cool.
Yes.
I did that a few years ago. Emily and I went down, I think it was Jennings County that did it. A couple of different years that we picked up. So milkweed, because I love butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
And I always laugh because everybody's like, really? You planted milkweed? Really I did, and really it's just awesome to watch when they partake in that and
really
all the
neat.
cool stuff.
Now, it is funny every once in a while, people plant milkweed and then they'll be a little shocked the caterpillars are eating their leaves, and it's like, no, that's a good thing. That's why you bought it, because that is the food that those monarch caterpillars especially need to grow into healthy butterflies.
I love it. And then, of course, all the good things with the sweet juices that everybody loves, and our hummingbirds and all that. So So, yeah.
Yes.
All right, till April 24th then.
April 24th.
At Soil and Water.
Yes. Yep. So stop
Good.
in today.
All right, good deal.
And then we also have May 3rd, we are doing a tree giveaway at the fairgrounds. So that happens every year, again, with Soil and Water and Decatur County Recycling and Purdue Extension. We all work together to hand out 1,000 trees. So that is for Decatur County residents. We host that at the fairgrounds. In the past, we have been under the commercial building awning. This year there may be some construction going on at the fairgrounds, so we are going to be underneath the Smyrna building or shelter. So and we are changing the route, so it's a drive-through pickup for your trees, and it's a free will donation. So the money, if you do choose to donate, will be going to the sensory garden at Greensburg Elementary.
Nice.
So I'm really excited for that project as well, to see how that turns out. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of all the different trees. I know there's some maples,
Everything
redbuds,
like native Indiana.
Yeah,
so it
everything are
should
native
thrive.
Indiana trees. Yes. So you get 5 saplings. Oh, she's gonna start biting me. No, she's fine. But yeah, so they're all native trees. 5 trees per Decatur County resident. We have 1,000 trees to give away, and we will start at 9 a.m. But we will have cars enter at the driveway behind the livestock building, between the livestock building and the animal shelter.
Okay,
and
sure.
then scoot
Come up
around
through.
the rabbit and poultry building, go up to the Smyrna building, and then just go out onto that road and leave onto Park Road.
Past the extension office.
Yes.
Yep, as
Yep.
your exit. Okay.
Yep.
So enter down the hill and exit
Exit
top
at the
of the
top.
hill.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
And we
that's
should have
May
some
3rd?
signs. Yep, that'll be May 3rd. That's a Saturday starting at 9 a.m. and we'll be there until trees are gone. That usually takes to about noon.
Yeah, and if it's a nice day, you're going to have a crowd because people will
Yes.
have the spring fever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always get so many people that come to it, and it's so great because you can tell everybody's so excited to
Yeah.
get their trees out and in the ground.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we have the Rain Barrel program here in Decatur County. So the Rain Barrel program's always been a really big thing. All the participants, we come talk for the first hour about rain barrels and composting, and then they leave with a rain barrel of their very own. It's a completely free program. We get all the materials donated.
Is
So
it full for this
it is
one?
not yet. So we
Oh.
have some open seats still.
Okay.
So if you were listening and you're interested about learning about rain barrels, or maybe you've heard the presentation a couple times and you want another rain barrel,
I
you
love my rain
absolutely
barrel.
can show up. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jeff made my rain barrel for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have it, and I've had it for several years. I love it, and it's
Yes.
it's just the coolest thing because you collect it, you use it on your flowers,
Yes.
and but it's a neat, and the program is so cool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to save money, too. If you have that water stored up, rain is free. We're able to collect it here, so
Yeah.
use it up. Absolutely.
A great way to do that.
Yes.
If somebody hears this and they want to come, you said it's tomorrow evening.
Yep, it's tomorrow evening, so call before you show up. That way we know to save a rain barrel for you. We have 25 prepared. So you could give us a call at the extension office. That phone number is 812-663-8388, or you can contact the Soil and Water office as well.
Okay.
So we'll have one of those happening this Thursday in Greensburg. And then we will also be doing one in Ripley County next Thursday, April
okay.
17th. So we're trying to spread out the program just a little bit. So that'll be held at the Batesville VFW. There's more information about that on the Purdue Extension Facebook page, and then also the Soil and Water Facebook page as well, for the address and things for that. And the programs both start at 6
Okay.
or
Awesome.
6:30. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. It's a very, very popular program.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, we
so-
usually get a good turnout. I know in years past, our classes have been full, so we've actually extended to 3 classes in a year from the original planned 1. So we're going for 2 this year. We're going to try and spread it out, and we'll see if we need to have a 3rd class.
Yeah. Oh, gardeners and anybody that loves to be outside and have all the things going on. Rain barrels are
Yes.
cool. Yeah.
Yes. And then One more program is with the Greensburg Library. So I actually will not be at the Rain Barrel program next Thursday, April 17th, because I will be at the library doing another gardening program. So if you don't want to go out to Batesville, or you've already been to the Rain Barrel program that's happening on Thursday, we are doing a cost-effective gardening program with the library starting at, I believe, 5 p.m. It'll be held in the conference room at the library. We'll talk about cost-effective gardening, things like soil testing, how a seed grows, maybe what are some of the more ideal plants and ways to get things in the ground, container gardening and things like that.
Container gardening has really, it's just gone crazy the last few years. But for so many people with limited space or limited ability, container gardening makes it where you can still enjoy doing it, but
Absolutely.
It's much easier.
I know I rent my current property that I have, and we have, not a lot of yard space, maybe 20 foot of yard space. There is not a lot. So that's where container gardening will really be great. Places where maybe it's not ideal to put an in-ground bed, you can plant in different ways.
Yeah,
So.
and the fun part is containers, because you can hit up all of the antiques and the junk stores and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and you can make it look
cool
so
stuff.
neat.
Yeah.
I know Benita, our secretary in the office, she has a bathtub that she plants potatoes in and things like that. And you just see so many different cool things.
Yeah, I have a big horse water tank.
Oh.
That, when it gets to the point that you have the rust hole in it, you still got to do something. So that was my tomatoes.
And that
last
rust
year.
hole makes a great drainage hole.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the best tomatoes in that.
That's
So
awesome.
I've collected 2 more salvaged the water tanks, because there's no reason not to.
And I think they give your property kind of an eclectic, unique
does,
look.
yeah.
I just think it looks really nice.
Yeah, the one is going to be cucumbers this year, because
Ooh.
I have my whole little plan in place with my lattice for them to climb up the side of it. So, but you can just take anything and make a plant come to life in it. So
Yes, it's so neat, all the little things that you can do.
for sure. So that's on next Thursday.
Yes, next
17th.
Thursday.
Is that a sign up and register ahead of time?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So contact the Greensburg Library to get on their RSVP list. I don't have their number off the top of my head, but you could also call us again at the extension office, and we can get you situated.
And they, a lot of the library programs are also on their website, where you can sign up there. So that's a good, another way to do it too. So.
Yes.
All right. You got a busy spring coming up.
Yes. Well, and then I also have an ongoing class. So I don't believe registration is still open. If you really want to come, give me a call. I'm sure that we could get you on the list. But the home vegetable gardening series kicked off last night. So that happened from 6:30 to 8:30 at our extension office. We had a nice turnout of people that were interested in learning about gardening. So last night we talked about vegetable production. And then next week we will talk about insects and managing that. And then the following week we should be talking about diseases and things to look out for.
Those are things that, people struggle with. So.
Yes, and I learned so much last night. I think I had the most notes taken on my paper out of the class.
Well, I think that maybe you can come back and share with us a little bit on the insects and diseases of the garden.
Absolutely.
In the next couple of months, because that's a thing. Everybody has their different ways that they do things. So some people will use the chemicals to treat and that type of thing. Some people want it all natural options.
Yes.
And of course, I saw over the weekend I was doing some gardening reading, and they're talking about mixing up your vinegar and your Dawn dish soap and your salt and making your own.
Yeah.
How effective is that one? It's
right. Yeah. Which especially for things like aphids, surfactant sprays are great. Insecticidal soaps, or even a certain ratio of Dawn dish soap to, I think she's going to take a drink out of my
she's
mug.
Thirsty.
Dawn dish soap and water, that creates a coating on those insects that is effective. So that would be a great thing to talk about in
They
May.
say Dawn's one of the best, best things you can use out there. So,
Absolutely.
So safe.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get rid of aphids because they're so tiny and they just get over everything.
So while we're on the bug thing just a little bit, those little beetly things that smell bad and are annoying.
Oh, the orange ones with the black dots?
Yeah, the minute
Yes.
that we got a little bit of warm weather, they went crazy.
Yes. Okay. So that's a good one to talk about right now. So Asian lady beetles. I think I was on last fall talking about them a little bit. So people typically notice them in November, and then they notice them right about now. So yeah, Asian lady beetles. They look like ladybugs, but they're orange and they stink really, really bad.
I mean, that's way too nice of a name for them.
Yes,
Because
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I'm
not.
sure people have their other choice names
Yeah,
for
they're
them.
not nice.
No, they are not nice and they're everywhere. But so what happens with those is they actually are looking for a place to hibernate in the fall. So they overwinter. And so they come into your house through cracks and crevices, open doors, things like that. And then you'll see them kind of scurrying around a little bit, and then they disappear by December. And you think that, okay, they're gone. Well, actually, they found a crack or crevice, maybe in your attic or an old wood furniture, things like that, where they feel safe and aren't going to be disturbed, and they just go to sleep.
They're just
they
nice
don't,
and warm.
Yep, they don't eat anything in your house or anything like that. They don't cause any damage, but right around now, they're starting to wake up, and you might notice them on a few warm days, over the winter. They might kind of wake up and move around a little
If there's
bit.
sunshine in a window, you might
Yes.
notice
Yeah.
that they come about for that. So
Yes. And so this actually, maybe I shouldn't say this on the radio because people are going to think I'm weird and don't clean my house. I promise to clean my house. But there has been an Asian lady beetle in my bathroom, and it's been on the same spot, and my wall, it has not moved this entire winter, and I've just kind of left it there just
watch
to
it.
be like, man, this is kind of interesting. But the best way to deal with them, especially in the fall, is to vacuum them. So just suck them up in a vacuum and then immediately empty your vacuum cleaner. So that's one thing that you should always try to do when you vacuum is empty your vacuum cleaner outside, put it into a container. Don't just shake your vacuum cleaner out in some back pasture because they'll just come right back in.
Because even if you put them in a trash, did your trash and left it, you're going to have them right back, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely. So
tie it
maybe,
up and-
empty it in a bag outside, tie it up, and that'll trap them and keep them from coming into your house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so unfortunately right now, and I think that people think that they're worse this time of year because they come in periodically, over the course of several weeks in the fall, and they all wake up at the same exact time. So, and then they get stuck inside, and they might not be able to remember how to get back out. Or, our houses, the environment feels a lot nicer, and they don't have a whole lot of food active yet outside, or the rainy weather, the cold weather. It just encourages them to stay inside, so they fly in circles in your house and they
Drive
fly
you
into your
nuts.
face, they stink up everything. So
Yeah.
just vacuum them up and empty that
They
outside.
make me itch if they touch me. I know
Yeah,
that's
some people
nuts,
actually have an
but they-
allergic reaction to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they
really
kinda-
neat.
So, like that, you get them out of there. I think it's like you talk about the one you've been watching on the wall.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how she found her place?
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
so
and it
neat.
has-
And it's also not a very secure place. I can absolutely just vacuum her up and get her out of there. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird the spot that she picked.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they thought that one spot in the middle of my bathroom wall is the right place to be there. And it is alive. I've checked to make sure that it's not dead
Yeah.
and just stuck
She's-
there.
she's just
Yeah,
resting.
if I poke it, it crawls away. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to think of me as the crazy bug lady now.
I think of you as the crazy snake lady. So
Yeah,
we're all-
I'm just the crazy
yeah,
lady.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Sabrina and her snakes.
Yes. Oh, I love snakes.
I know.
I'm about it.
I know,
I'm
and
getting
Emily's
really
like
good
me.
at
We're-
IDing them.
We're not snake lovers, so that's not at all.
Well, that's okay. You guys just call me. I'll come out.
Yeah.
I'll be excited about it too.
I didn't even love my snake skin. So. Yeah, but we will. As things start warming up, we're going to start seeing the bugs, the snakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I have enjoyed the birds this winter. I thought we had the most amazing cardinals throughout this winter. I've had a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of people have commented on, and I think too we had wore the snow and their colors were just so bright. And,
Yes. Yeah.
But,
I've seen so many this year now.
Yeah. But now the hummingbirds should be
They should
coming
be
back
in,
soon, right?
Yes, and there is a website, and gosh, I wish I had written the name of this down, where you can actually track the migration of different species of birds. And I know I've seen the hummingbird migration tracker on social media and stuff being shared around.
Yeah,
So
I love that
soon.
that part of spring.
Yeah.
There was the coolest, and I have to, in my head, go back. There's been a series called The Americas with Tom Hanks that has hosted, and it is nature. I mean, it's just been the most incredible photography and all. And I can't remember if I saw the hummingbirds on it or I saw them on CBS Sunday Morning in Mexico in their native. I have never in my life seen so many. Oh my gosh. I think that'd be like you died went to heaven if you were just surrounded by that and the butterflies,
Yes,
you know.
I was just going to say that and the monarch butterflies I would love to see.
Yeah, there's just been so many cool things. So
yeah, the world is so beautiful. It's
It
so
is.
neat. There are just so many cool things if you just step outside and take a look around.
yeah, soak it up.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, Sabrina Gregory, thank you so much for being in with us. You can find Sabrina at the Decatur County Extension Office sometimes because she's usually out and about and busy. So best way to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So the best way to get in touch with me is you can call our office. So that phone number again is 812-663-8388. And if I'm not there, we have two really great front office staff that are great about taking messages and making sure that I know what's going on in the office. So, call, leave me a message. I'll get back to you. Or you can email me directly. My email is Allen, Allen, that's my maiden name, 484 at purdue.edu. So Allen484 at purdue.edu.
Okay, very good. All right. Sabrina's going to be on a schedule with us going forward the second Wednesday of each month at 10 o'clock. So if you have questions, you have a bug or a snake or something that you want her to take a look at, I see
Don't
Emily with
bring
a
it
chill.
here.
Oh,
Emily with
that
a
would be
chill
so
over
fun
there.
because we're on YouTube now. We can put it on YouTube.
We can bring anything but the snake. Other than that, it's fine.
Okay.
Snakes
So-
are not
good.
welcome.
There you
Well,
go.
a good rule of thumb is if we have snakes, just leave them alone. Especially, you see so many people try and cut the heads off snakes, and they're usually cutting the heads off really helpful snakes like black snakes.
Oh, yeah.
And if it is a venomous snake, snakes can bite through their mouths. They can reach and turn around. They can envenomate even after their head is cut off. So absolutely do not do that. The best way to get a snake to move on is to take a garden hose and spray it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I say respect their space and go the other way. you
Yes,
know?
yeah, but if it's on your front porch or something,
Yeah.
garden hose. Just spray them with a
Perfect.
garden hose. They don't like that at all. They will move away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You can take
All
a
right.
picture of your snake, and we will let her see
Yes,
that here.
yes. Please send your pictures. We're happy with that. But, as we go into gardening season, trees, flowers, your yards,
Yep.
all of those, your pastures,
Yeah.
your critters, all of it.
Yes, and I love to know what's going on in the community. I do crop and weather reporting. So the more I hear from the community about, hey, this is going on and this really stinks, or this is going on and this is really awesome, that really helps me, get back with the state and let them know what's going on.
All right, very
Yeah.
good. All right, Sabrina, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Yeah.